Good morning, dear hearts. We are on lesson 254. We are in our fourth relevant thought, part 2 of the workbook. What is sin? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and then we'll go into today's lesson. And as I said yesterday, the first sentence in this explanation is in many ways all we really need to know. Sin is insanity. And what does insanity do? It makes up things. That's what the ego does, because the ego is insane. So the ego has made up all kinds of things. It initially made up the body for us, and then it gave the body 5 senses. But as the explanation says, to sense is to not know. And these senses that we have do not really know. They cannot tell the real from the unreal. They don't know the difference between truth and illusions. So they go around trying to find evidence to prove that what is false is true. That's never really going to happen, and we know that. And then it tells us that the body is the instrument the mind made in its efforts to deceive itself. The ego mind, I want to be sure we realize, it is the ego mind that made up this instrument. And this body has become a vessel to hold guilt. And as we hold the guilt within us, it keeps us even more misaligned and keeps us more in darkness that we do not know. We think we know, but we do not really know. We are filled with the ideas of deception. The body has given us a goal. The ego has given us a goal. The sin has given us a goal to be deceived. This can all be changed because we have the ability to give over everything to the Holy Spirit, one who knows. The body, the ego does not know. They guess a lot. They perform and put forth ideas and illusions and deceptions all the time, but none of them are true. And we always have to go back to truth is true and nothing else is true. Sin is not true. Sin is the home of illusions, going around and about and again trying to prove that God's child, God's holy, sinless child, is not real. That the fact that we have been created, and it's a fact, we were created by God, and because of that, we hold on and we have all of the attributes of our Father. In that moment of creation, we are timeless, we are eternal, we are filled with love and light. But the ego goes about trying to prove of us that none of that is true. None of that is true. And God isn't even real. That is how the ego goes about in its insanity, trying to trick us, trying to keep us under its thumb, under my thumb. I think some will hear a song in that. But we are able to become free. It is our nature to be free. Freedom is part of who we really are. God's son, God's child is free. It was, again, part of our creation. Created free from a free, whole mind, we are free. Now, to go back into the explanation in paragraph 4, a madman's dreams are frightening, and sin appears indeed to terrify. And of course it does. And yet, what sin perceives is but a childish game. The Son of God may play he has become a body, and now he is prey to evil and to guilt, with but a little life that ends in death. We can pretend that that is true. And when our mind is in the throes of insanity, we believe that that is true. But all the while, even while we are having these frightening dreams, these madman's dreams, these nightmares, even then, our Father shines on us and loves us with an everlasting love, and which his pretenses cannot change at all. Nothing can change the truth of who we are. Nothing can change that indeed we are and always have been as God created us. That is the truth. That will always be the truth. So even with, as I've spoken about this week, about Dorothy and Alice and their wild dreams, and that's what they were. They were the nightmarish dreams that a child might have and startled to be awakened, but in their cases, they were gently awakened. And for me, that is very significant, because for me, this is a very gentle course that we have been given. It is for us to awaken at the pace that we can, and for us to be gently led into the truth so that it does not frighten us. The truth could frighten us, as Marianne Williamson's quote, about what we're really afraid of is our light and our power. So this course is very gently awakening us to the truth of our light. Today's lesson, 254, let every voice but God's be still in me. I was speaking to someone today, and I said, some of the lessons I look very forward to doing, and they're very easy to do. And others are a bit more challenging of how will I explain this, because some of the lessons are not as straightforward as my mind is. So, but today's lesson is one that is, for me, very straightforward. And it also might easily remind you of lesson 49, that God's voice speaks to me all through the day. And today, let every voice but God's be still in me. And that's really what we want. We want to only listen to God's voice. And it is possible to hear God's voice, which, as the Course has told us, will actually sound like our own, but it's not coming from outside. It's coming from within. I've used this example. I've used this example in many of the years that I've been doing these lessons. And it's like, I want to hear God's voice. I really want to hear God's voice, but sometimes it seems impossible for me to hear God's voice because there's so much noise around. And I want to hear God's voice, but I think I have to really get quiet. Well, I do. I do need to get still so that I can simply listen. But we are able to do that. We are able to quiet things down. And I liken this to, the best example for me is if you're in a restaurant or you're at a party and it's noisy. There's a big roar. There's a din of sound. And we'll only be able to listen to what is closest to us, what is loudest. Well, what is loudest is always the ego's voice. So in order for me to hear the still small voice, the voice for God, I have to get quiet and I have to listen closely. Because if I'm at that table in a restaurant and I have people right next to me, but I might catch a phrase or a word of someone that's farther away, and I go, oh, what are they talking about? I want to listen. I want to know what they are saying. But I can't do it if I'm in the middle of all the loudness. So I have to quiet that down or get up and physically move myself to where I can hear. We might have to do that. Sometimes when things are too loud around us, we might have to physically move ourselves into a space where we can be quiet and we can truly listen and let every other voice but God's be still in me. The lesson begins, Father, today, and this is the prayer, Father, today I would but hear your voice. In deepest silence, I would come to you to hear your voice and receive your word, your promise. I have no prayer but this. I come to you to ask you for the truth, and truth is but your will, which I would share with you today. And yes, God's will and mine are one. Today, when will this happen? Today we let no ego thoughts direct our words or actions. When such thoughts occur, we quietly step back and look at them, and then we let them go. We step back, we step away from the noise, away from the din, and then let them go. Open our minds, open our hands, simply let them go. We do not want what they would bring with them, and so we do not choose to keep them. Let them go. They are silent now, and in this stillness, hallowed by His love, God speaks to us and tells us of our will as we have chosen to remember Him. We choose to remember God today. We choose to be still and hear His voice. And we choose that and only that today. Let every voice but God's be still in me. And that's it for today. I hope it helped. If so, please like, please share, please subscribe. I don't think I said that. And please smile and be quiet. One of Janitism. Shh, I think I hear God's voice. And please be here tomorrow. Namaste.